What's up guys, TopTierYugioh here, and today I want to bring you a Subterror Eidolon deck profile. So I'm super excited about this deck because Eidolons are going to be coming out near the end of February, and so they really mesh very well with Subterrors, especially considering we're going to be getting new Subterror support in the next set as well. So this build will be updated once we get the new support. And so like so many other decks, I really want to talk about why it works first of all. So why are we playing Subterrors with Eidolons versus just playing pure Subterrors or Metaphor Subterrors? Or pure Eidolon, or Eidolons with wind witches or artifacts or whatever. But the reason I like this deck in particular is that they really cover each other's weaknesses. And what I mean by that is Subterrors sort of have a weak late game, they have a strong early game, they can make great defensive boards, but it's hard to finish a lot of games when your biggest monster is 2800, and then your best form of removal is just 1-for-1 targeting removal, and it's a flip monster. And so Eidolons really give you a strong late game because you can make these fusions for seemingly free, and it really allows you to put a lot of pressure on your opponent. And then in a similar fashion, Subterrors don't really have that much disruption, while Eidolons have 2 fusions that can disrupt your opponents. And then Eidolons, or Invoked as they might be in the TCG, they have sort of a weak early game because when you summon Alistair, generally you want to have other attributed monsters in the graveyard in order for you to make your fusion summons. But if you don't have any other attribute monsters yet, it can be really difficult to make a play. So Subterrors give you plays early game, and then Eidolons give you a really strong late game. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and get into this profile. And so first we play 3 Subterror Nemesis Warriors. We still want to max out on this because we do want a high number of Subterrors to resolve Stalagmo's effect. Stalagmo is still of course one of the better Subterrors in the deck, so we need to have a good amount of Subterrors. There are also some combos with Speedroid Terra, which I did do a video on a while ago, but I'll put the link to that in the top right corner of the screen. You can also attribute any of the fusions that you summon for Nemesis Warriors effect, and that comes up a lot, especially because the Earth Eidolon fusion is a level 8, and so you can attribute that with Nemesis Warrior to get any of your other Subterrors out. Next we have 1 Archer, and only 1 because we don't really want to see multiples of it. You really only need to resolve its effect once. You just want to search it off a hidden city early, and then if you can resolve it, great. But once you get your engine going and you don't need it, you generally won't need it the rest of the game. And so that's why I don't want to play any more than 1. 1 seemed like the perfect number. And then next, obviously, we play 3 Stalagmo and 3 Umastrix, the good Subterror behemoths so far. And then for the Eidolons, we do play 3 Alistair. And once again, it will be named Invoker in the TCG. I think we've been told that the official name is Alistair the Invoker, and it's a level 4 dark spellcaster with 1000 attack, 1800 defense. And what the effect is that during either player's turn, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, then target 1 fusion monster you control. It gains 1000 attack and defense until the end of this turn. If this card is normal summoned or flip face up, you can add 1 Eidolon summoning magic from your deck to your hand, and that's the fusion spell. I will put the effects of all the Eidolon monsters and their links to the wiki page in the description because I know I couldn't find the English pictures obviously, so I have to use the Japanese ones, but they will be in the description. But Alistair is the card that makes the entire archetype work. When you normal summon it, it gets to search your fusion, and then you can fuse from the field or either player's graveyard, which makes it really easy to resolve, especially late game, when you can just banish your opponent's monsters from their graveyard to summon your fusion monsters. So it's really free, and the fusion spell allows you to recycle Alistair back to your hand actually, so that really makes the hand effect really useful, as well as it just lets you normal summon it again and then search it. So Alistair is the main monster in the archetype as it searches your fusion spell card, and then it also has a nifty hand effect that increases the attack and defense of all your fusion monsters by 1000, which does come up because they all have pretty low attack, except for Magalancia, which is 3000, but even then 3000 isn't that amazing right now. And so both of Alistair's effects are really useful, and neither one is once per turn. So that's awesome. Anytime you have not once per turn effects, it's really good. Next we play 3 Speedroid Terra and 1 Take Tomborg. Once again, it's just another starter card that really lets you get into your plays. You can tribute them for Nemesis Warrior, or you can make a rank 3. There's some combos with Invoker, and so you can special summon Terra, Take Tomborg, go into an Invoker, and then normal summon an Alistair, use Alistair's effect to search the summoning magic. Then you can use Invoker's effect to summon Nemesis Warrior, go into a rank 4, and then use summoning magic to fuse for a Raideen or a Magalancia possibly. And so Terra really gets a lot of your plays going. And then finally for the monsters, we play 4 hand traps. We play 2 Ghost Ogre and then 2 Maxis. The Maxis are necessary. I think it's just way too powerful not to play. But Ghost Ogre is not as standard right now, but it will be standard come Zodiac format, as it's really good against Zodiacs, it's good against Metal Foes. It's pretty good against ABCs, you can hit the Union Hanger. And then another really important thing about it is that it is light. So it helps us go for our Merker Ball, which is the light Eidolon fusion. And that fusion is like probably the best one. So then for the spells, we play 3 Hidden City, that's obvious. And then 3 Reckless Magic Circle. So this is the field spell card for Eidolons. And the effect is that when this card is activated, you can add one Alistair from your deck to your hand. And then if you activate a card or effect that includes the effect of fusion summoning a monster, its activation cannot be negated and your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when that monster is fusion summoned. And then you can only activate one Reckless Magic Circle per turn. And then finally we play 3 Terraformings. This is actually another aspect of this deck that I really like, because in a standard Subterror deck you do have to play 3 Hidden City and 3 Terraforming because you need to see Hidden City. However, it's sort of a deck building contradiction because you never want to see multiples of Hidden City, but you effectively play 6 of them in your deck. And so by playing 2 different field spells, when you have Hidden City and a Terraforming, it makes it Hidden City and Reckless Magic Circle, and you can activate both of those in the same turn, so really sort of decrease on your dead draws. And there are certain hands where you can use both of those searched monsters. So like there's some hands where you can search an Alistair, normal summon it, then fuse for a Raideen, flip Raideen face down, and then special summon the Behemoth that you would have searched off of the Hidden City. And so there is a little bit of synergy between the two depending on your hand. Next we play 3 Instant Fusions, and Instant Fusion's really good in this deck because you can just special summon a Raideen, flip itself face down, and then special summon any of your Behemoths from your hand. And so while we're talking about it, I'm just going to go ahead and read Raideen. I feel like I should have. I've talked about it so much already. But Raideen is the Wind Eidolon, so it does work with Speedroids, and once per turn during either player's turn, you could target one face-up monster on the field and change it to face-down defense position. And so essentially you special summon it with the Instant Fusion, use the effect to target itself, so it flips itself face down, and then you can special summon the Behemoth monsters. And so Instant Fusion plus Hidden City, for example, is a really good combo that I like, because that's going to let you add a Behemoth to your hand and special summon it with the Raideen. Then we have 2 Plot of Desires. Next we have 2 Darkhole, and Darkhole is one of my favorite cards in this deck because it does serve multiple purposes. And so once again, like I mentioned earlier, Subterrors have problems dealing with established boards because Umastrix is only 1-for-1 targeting removal. Darkhole gives you mass removal, but not only that, but it can trigger your Archer. And so it can act sort of like an extender. And so sometimes a combo that I like to do is if I have Hidden City plus Darkhole plus another Subterror monster in my hand, what I'll do is I'll activate Hidden City to search Archer, summon or set Archer, it doesn't matter, but then I'll Darkhole the field. So then I can search a Stalagmo, summon it face down defense, and then use Hidden City to flip Stalagmo, and then discard something and get my engine going. And it will work the same way if you need like an Umastrix to out of the board, but Darkhole can really act as an extender, as well as a way to clear your opponent's boards, and if you need to do both at the same time, perfect. And then the final 2 spells are 2 Eidolon summoning magic. And so once again, the effect will be in the description, but what it does is you can fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck. So even non-Eidolon fusion monsters. But if you are fusing for an Eidolon monster, you can also banish cards from your field or either player's graveyard. And then if this card is in the graveyard, you can target one of your banished Alistairs, shuffle this card into the deck, and add that Alistair to your hand. You can only activate the shuffling effect of Eidolon summoning magic once per turn. And so this is actually a really powerful fusion spell card because you can fuse for other monsters. You can also fuse from your opponent's graveyard and yours. And so I really like it in matchups like ABC where they need the graveyard, and so you can just banish like their A, B, or C to summon one of your fusions. Then it also shuffles itself back into the deck and adds an Alistair back to your hand. And then Alistair can just search that same one back from the deck. But Alistair also has a hand effect, so it really puts all of your monsters where you need them to be. It works in perfect synergy with Alistair, and it really is sort of the perfect engine. And the only reason I don't play 3 is that you do need an Alistair to activate Eidolon summoning magic. So it's not good in those situations where you don't have Alistair, which is why I had to unfortunately cut it down to 2 because I just kept drawing it and not Alistair. And then finally, the only trap I play is Vanity's Emptiness because it's just too good. This card needs to be banned. But until it is banned, I'm going to continue to play it. So for the extra deck, first we play 1 Elysion, the Eidolon Beast. It is a level 10 big boss Eidolon fusion monster, 3200 attack, 4000 defense, and you need 1 Eidolon Beast monster, which is a fusion, and then you need 1 monster that's special summoned from the extra deck. So this can be 2 Eidolon fusions, it can be an Eidolon fusion and a Xyz monster, it doesn't matter. If your opponent summons a synchro or anything, that can be that other monster. And then while it's face up on the field, it's treated as all attributes, and then once per turn, during either player's turn, you can target 1 Eidolon Beast monster you control or is in your graveyard, banish that monster, and then all monsters your opponent controls of the same attribute. And so this effect can actually be really useful because, well, 1, it's mass removal and mass banishing non-targeting removal. So that's really powerful against decks that summon everything of the same type, so like DDDs or ABC that can swarm the field with all of one type of monster. This can be really good against them. Or Zodiacs, everything is Earth. So because this is a Subterror build, we do play a lot of Earth, so we can summon the Earth Eidolon pretty easily. And so a lot of times we can just banish the Earth Eidolon and banish all of the opponent's Zodiacs. So it's really good in that matchup. Next we play 2 Merkabah, the Eidolon Beast, which is the light one, level 9, 2500 attack, 2100 defense, and it requires 1 Alistair and 1 light monster. And the effect is that once per turn during either player's turn, when a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated, you discard that same type of card from your hand to the graveyard, negate the activation, and then banish that card. The banishing part is super relevant, very important, and I think it makes this card that much better. This is one of the better basic Eidolon fusions, because it's negation, and this is really what helps you control the tempo late game and really form some of these soft locks that are sort of your win condition for the deck. And it's really good against decks like ABC, obviously, because they need monsters in their graveyards. You just banish those, summon this, and win. But it's also good because we do play the Ghost Ogres, and this is one of the reasons why I did want to play Ghost Ogre. But sometimes it can be hard to summon if your opponent's not playing a light deck, but what you can always do is summon Elysion first, because its normal natural attribute is light. You can always banish that from your graveyard to summon the Merkaba. And so even though we don't play that many lights, because it is so powerful, I do want to play 2, and we do still have the option to summon it through summoning Elysion first. And then once you summon the first Merkaba, you have access to the second one. Next we play 2 Magalantia, the Eidolon Beast, and this is the Earth one. It doesn't have an effect, and its fusion materials are Alistair and an Earth monster, obviously. It's 3000 attack, 3300 defense. This guy is huge. That's pretty much all he's good for, and we do only play 2 because like about half of our monsters are Earth type, and so this is the one that we're going to be able to summon the most. Next we play 2 Raideen, the Eidolon Beast. This is the Wind one. It's level 5, 2200 attack, 2400 defense. Once per turn during either player's turn, you target one face-up monster on the field and change that to face-down defense. And so we can summon this either with instant fusion or with summoning magic through the Speedroid engine or any other wind monster that our opponent may have. Also, it's important to note that Daigusto Emerald is also wind. And so Raideen is really good because one, it helps you summon your Behemoths, but also it's another form of disruption. And I was torn between playing 2 and 3, but I ultimately chose 2 because I found it very difficult to actually summon 3. There weren't that many duels where I did summon 3. And so due to a lack of space, I had to cut it down. But we can make rank 4s in this deck pretty easily, and so there's always the option of shuffling it back with Emerald. And the good thing about that is when we do shuffle it back with Emerald, Emerald is a win, so it sort of gives us that food to summon it again. And then the final fusion we play is Elder Entity Norden, because why not? We do play 3 instant fusions and have a lot of level 4s, so it's perfect. Then for the Xyzes, we do play 3s and 4s. For the rank 3s, we have MX Saber Invoker. It can summon Nemesis Warrior from the deck, Totem Bird, and then Breaksword. For the rank 4s, we have Daigusto Emerald, Castel, Utopia, and Utopia the Lightning. And then for the side deck, 2 Denko Sekkas for Paleozoics or any other trap decks, 2 DD Crows, which I'm actually really liking this format against DDDs, and really against a broad range of decks. Like I played Lightsworn, and this was perfect against Lightsworn. 1 Raigeki and 2 Book of Eclipses for entering established boards. Book of Eclipse actually works really well with Archer, 2 Cosmic Cyclones, another thing for Paleozoics, 3 System Down for EBCs, and 3 Dimensional Barriers for going first against a lot of decks. But it just really helps you make these first turn boards that can help you win the game. Alright, so now that we've seen the deck, let's actually get into some duels. I want to show you guys how this deck works firsthand. And so in this game, we are going against sort of a mirror match. We're playing against Eidolon Artifact Wind Witches. And so let's look at our hand. So we have 1 Reckless Magic Circle, 1 Upstart, 1 Terraforming, 1 Desires, and then 1 Nemesis Warrior. And so you will notice that I was playing Upstart in this build. Before I was not playing Vanity's Emptiness because I was opting for the highest consistency possible. But there were just a lot of games where I just felt I needed that 1 Vanity's Emptiness. Like I wanted more of a bomb card. But we are going second in this replay. So he's going to go ahead and go first, using his Terraforming to get his Reckless Magic Circle, searching Alistair, and then setting it. And so at first I thought this was a sort of a strange play, but because there aren't any other monsters in the graveyard, he would have had to fuse from hand, and because his only cards in hand were hand traps, that really wouldn't be the best option. And so setting it gives him at least some kind of defense with the Maxi and the Cherries, and then even if it's in the graveyard, he can fuse from the graveyard. And so that's why he made that play. And so then we draw into a Darkhole, which is sort of perfect for breaking his board. And so first we're going to activate our circle to get our Alistair, Upstart into Umastrix, and then Desires into another Terraforming and another Nemesis Warrior. So we activate the Hidden City, normal summon Archer, and then Darkhole. That's going to let us get Stalagmo, which I do summon in face-up defense. That way I can set it and then set my Umastrix. But he does max C on that. Next I set my Umastrix and then flip my Stalagmo with Hidden City to activate the effect, drawing into an instant fusion and an Alistair. Then I just go ahead and attack for 28 and pass turn. So now he summons his Alistair, activates summoning magic to summon a Magalantia, and then shuffles it back to the deck of course, and then summons a Merkaba. And then he tries to attack my Stalagmo, but I negate the attack with Hidden City, and I don't activate Umastrix's effect because I did not want him to negate it with a Merkaba and banish it. But then on my turn, I know that I have Nemesis Warrior, and so I know that I can kind of play with my chain links in order to avoid being banished by the Merkaba. And I don't just want to attack over it first, because that means I'm going to have less damage on board anyways. And so I flip my Stalagmo face down and then face up, and use the effect to discard Nemesis Warrior, And then when I flip my Umastrix, I can activate Nemesis Warrior on Chain Link 2, meaning he can't negate the Umastrix. So after I get that out of the way, I go ahead and normal summon my Alistair, and then he scoops knowing that I definitely have game this turn. So now we're going to go into game 2, and in this game I actually sort of took a risk. Okay, so like, I figured, okay, Eidolons don't really have a good turn 1 board, and after he had that weak turn 1 last time going first, I was thinking he might let me go first, so I just took a little risk and sided in my barriers. And the risk actually paid off. So let's take a look at our hand. So we have 1 Pot of Desires, 1 Take Tumbleborg, Terraforming, and then 2 barriers. So we're going to go ahead and activate the Desires. We draw into a Maxi and a Summoning Magic, then Terraforming the Search Hidden City, because we don't really have any plays otherwise, so we are just going to have to set Archer, and then set 1 barrier, and then pass turn, because we do also have the Maxi. So he's going to activate Summoning Magic, then normal summon the Wind Witch, but not the Terratop Wind Witch, but the other one. And then he attacks into the Archer, and I go ahead and get a Stalagmo. Umastrix may have been the better choice here to banish his monster, but I wanted to sort of take a risk, because I'm feeling risky this game. Hopefully I would draw into a Subterror, and then be able to get the effect off. And so perfect, I drew into a Nemesis Warrior, but because he set those back row, I didn't want to activate Stalagmo's effect, and then it get negated by like a strike or something, because then I wouldn't have any plays at all. And so what I decided to do was summon the Nemesis Warrior, then activate Nemesis Warrior's effect, getting the Umastrix, and now when I flip my Umastrix, if he has a Solemn or something, I still have that Nemesis Warrior play to protect it, and then also to back it up if he doesn't. And so I activate Umastrix, targeting his monster. He chains a Compulse, adding it back to his hand, which is fine by me, I guess, and I just summon my Nemesis Warrior and attack direct with both. So that's fine. Then I set my Umastrix and pass again. I still have the barrier, I still have the Maxi. He tries to special summon the good Wind Witch, and I do Maxi him, which is perfect because I needed some more cards. I have like 3 dead ones in hand. And I just let him go through all of his plays because I don't think he can get around my board anyways. I do have the Hidden City. So then when he summons his Crystal Wing, he decides to attack into Nemesis Warrior, which I'm perfectly fine with, because that means on my next turn, I'll just be able to get it back. So then on my next turn, I draw to 8 cards in my hand, with 3 cards on the field, so that Maxi really put in work. And then I flip some of my Umastrix, activate the effect as Chain Link 1, Nemesis Warrior Chain Link 2, and because of that, Crystal Wing has to negate the highest Chain Link, meaning it can only negate the Nemesis Warrior, so Umastrix will resolve, and it will banish his Crystal Wing. And at that point, I have 8 cards in hand, and he has a clear field, and so he just scoops it up. No way he's winning that game anymore, and I still had the barrier, and drew into a second Maxi. And so, you know, high risk, high reward, it definitely paid off for me, but I hope this really gave a little bit of insight into how this deck sort of works. And I think this, I think both of these games are quite indicative of that. Like, it's very... The Subterrors help you make pretty good plays early. Like I had set barrier and set Archer, so he really couldn't do much around that. And then once I got more cards, I was able to make some Eidolon plays. Well, not that second game, but the first game, I was able to make some Eidolon plays later in the game. Well, sort of. He actually kind of conceded before I got to get into those plays, but those plays would have ended the game. And so I will actually be posting more duels tomorrow, and so definitely subscribe if you're looking for more Subterror Eidolon content. But let me know what you think about this deck down in the comment section below. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys later.
Remember that time, those cerulean tides, sapphire, a sapphire.